Hey everybody, welcome back. It's business. I'm doing something a bit different today just because I wanted to have a Mogami overview up by now, but with the patch coming out on Thursday, or I'm sorry, the 26th, Wednesday, my schedule has changed a bit, so I'm all over the place. It doesn't really make sense to do an overview on something that's going to change so much in such a short period of time. So I just wanted to have some gameplay up and show you what it was like to play this, at least in the early stages before any of the balancing effects came into play, and have something to compare it to at a later point. So you've seen, as far as this video is concerned, I'm just blowing up the mini-map to show my movement. I've got Kami with me. He's in the North Carolina. Jason Yang is in his Otago. We were initially going to push on this side here, and then we saw that there were a lot more ships over here than we could handle initially. The other battleship that's below, that is a Congo, and then the battleship to my right here is a New York, or I think it's in New York, I can't remember, but decided to push back up and use the islands to help mitigate the amount of fire that could be incoming, because there's just no way we're going to be able to get back to our team on the other side and help them push without giving our cap up completely. The other option would be obviously going up the middle, and that's just not a good idea. I mean, they have a tier 8 Lexington on their team, and just probably not the best idea, especially if they still have their 2 destroyers active, which actually, I'm sorry, they're 4 destroyers active, and that's what's actually slowing their team down on the other side. So anyways, I have my sights set on this Pensacola here. I wasn't really communicating with my squad mates here as to what I intended to do, but trust me, all this worked out in the end, and it was a lot of fun, actually. So you see the New Mexico, there's the New York, and got the Pensacola right up front, and there's that's the Nagato in the back, I believe, and Cleveland running around somewhere. There he is. He's exposing himself, running off the flank there. But the Mogami, I can't say I like it as much as the Miyoko, mainly because the matches it gets into are just crap. You start running into the top, the ceiling of tier 10 and whatnot, and as was eloquently posted in the forums, basically if you're running say you're in a tier 8 cruiser, or tier 9, tier 10, whatever, you're actually screwing your team over because the matchmaker sees that as being equal to like a tier 9, tier 10 battleship or carrier. Like, it's not weighted the same, and that's why you'll see a match where you say you have 3 tier 8 cruisers or tier 9 cruisers or whatever, and the other team will get like a tier 9 aircraft carrier and 2 tier 9 battleships. It's just not very conducive to a good match. It's not the same thing at all, and between the ships, that is. And hopefully that's something that gets looked at, but I can't remember the name of the guy who posted it, but he did a good job detailing that, and I completely agree, because that's exactly what has been so difficult about running this at tier 8, is you just get on some of these matches where your top battleship is a tier 6, and the enemy has 2 Iowas, and there's just not much you can do in that respect, or at least there shouldn't be, because it is an Iowa and it should be able to kick some serious ass. But anyways, back to the match at hand. Yeah, I decided to YOKO, which is you only kamikaze once. I positioned myself in a really good spot, and these guys weren't shooting at me. I'm like, cool, I'm going to take advantage of this. That's the benefit of having a North Carolina in your squad, by the way. Everybody shoots at him, so I'm sorry, Kami, but that's exactly the case. Even my previous video with the Amagi in North Carolina, I should have been shot at a lot more, but I wasn't. So I do the offset torpedo launches, and I fully expect to die by now anyways, but that's not the case. And hey, there's another damn battleship right there. Just taking the hits. It's all HE from the New York, so not feeling too bad about that. Get the Lexington, get the New Mexico, and get a couple good hits on the Nagato. Hell yeah. So that worked out pretty well in my opinion. Get all sorts of awards here, of course, and try to get some torps off because I'm assuming I'm dead still against the New York. Do that more fan type of spread because for me it's just more like if I know somebody's coming up the gut on like you know, through a channel or something, I'll definitely use the narrow spread. You'll see that later because that's basically all this video is about. But with the wide spread, I'm trying to force them into an action of to deter them, you know, staying broadside and shooting my teammates or myself, making them turn, just compromising their position, and in this case, his turrets. He has to turn his turrets again to be able to fire, and you know, that's not good for any of the battleships with how slow the turret traverse actually is. So high caliber, Confederate, double strike, yay. I like the awards. Although I'm finally cutting down on my Confederate flags, so I think I've only got like 8 of them left. I tried to get my daily 10 with the Omaha because I know I'm going to get it with that. It's such a damn good ship, and honestly I think I need to do a video on that. But anyways, still using the 155s, which unfortunately for that Hatsuharu, it gets the full power of this sweet battle station. It's the 203s are really good on this. It's just the adaptability of the 155s, the increased range. It just removes any real reason to use the 203s since you have the option of using the 155s. Personally, in this instance, you know, the 155s, the rate of fire, you know, it just gives you so many more chances to be involved in the match, and I think that's the big draw for them, aside from the fact that everybody just spams HE with them. And you know, the stupid part is people just do it exclusively. They're not trying to switch over to AP and actually maximize their damage. They're just doing it for the flyers. And I've had a few matches where I did like, what was it, 74,000 damage in fires. I think I only set like 10 or 12 fires, something like that. I mean, completely nuts. You know, I've had nearly 300 hits twice now. It was 288 and like 276 or something like that in a few matches that were pretty close to each other. Just the amount that you can do, the volume of fire that you can put down range, it really lends itself to just sticking with the 155s for really any type of gameplay. And you know, this is the type of ship that will influence a match by a considerable margin. And the odd part is this is getting balanced while we have the Cleveland and Des Moines with, you know, crazy rate of fires as well, that kind of just stay in the same spot as far as you know, their balance is concerned, and that doesn't really make any sense to me. You know, I think the Cleveland has a hell of a lot more of an impact at tier 6 than the Mogami does at tier 8, and the Des Moines is just a Des Moines. You know, it's a hopped up version of the Cleveland, but it's just kind of odd to me that they want to keep the armor the way it is. Like, my suggestion would be to increase the citadel of the Cleveland by 10 to 15%, and you know, just to try to, one, that would help people actually switch up the ammo types and not focus solely on HE as cruisers, because that's just stupid. But it would also force the Cleveland players, you know, because there are a lot of them who only use that, to actually, I don't know, be a bit more cautious and maybe stick around their team a bit more. I mean, it would actually, in the end, make it a more effective weapon because of the fact that, you know, you would stick with the team. But I don't know. I mean, there's so many different possibilities you could do in terms of balancing this ship or that ship. Everybody wants to cry nerf, 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 but that's just stupid. You have to look at it as a balance. I mean, when something's overpowered, it's overpowered. That's why everybody uses it. In the case of the Cleveland, that's exactly the case. And, you know, I don't necessarily think that the changes that are coming up here for the Mogami are going to really be all that good. I think it may be a little too drastic. Mainly just the turret health. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with that, but either way, it doesn't matter. We'll see how it plays out. So I'm all about sacrificing myself for the good of the team. I don't care. I'll do what I have to do. In this case, there's a hell of a lot of battleships. Something needs to be done, and one North Carolina just went down. We've got the Iowa and trying to launch. There we go. So North Carolina gets me, but I get a nice little boop right on the nose there of the Iowa, and another one, but they're still going. This is one of my favorite things that watch when I'm dead, is if I launch torpedoes, if they follow through, which, hell yeah. Some good solid damage there. So now it's a real nice standoff here between Kami and his North Carolina and this Iowa here. This is so stupid. I think he's already starting to back up. I am trying to speed it up here in a couple of parts just because this does actually take a while because they're huge ships. So there we go. And Kami is focusing on the Iowa behind, see if he can knock him out, because he's not really going to have much in the way of chance of penetrating the front of the Iowa here. But the Iowa decides to ram, and another little boop, and he survives. I don't know how he survived that, but whatever. That's amazing. He didn't have his Die Hard flag on or anything, so... now this match is just adrenaline. I'm really disappointed that Hotspot is actually going to have North versus South in the new patch. I'd rather East versus West personally, just because all the maps have the North versus South arrangement, and honestly, yeah, I don't know why is it so hard to mix it up. But the way that Hotspot currently, if you get two teams, you know, actually, or if you get two of the spawn points, if you get them talking to each other, you can focus an attack. I mean, look at the South group. They're coming right up the gut through C, and we're trying to, the Northern group that myself and Kami are in, are just trying to slow them down. And, well, one, we're trying to survive, obviously, because there's two Montanas coming up from the rear, along with a few other battleships. So we need to get this done as fast as possible, and especially as they have an Essex there and, you know, a number of their cruisers. But, let's see, we've got the Colorado right there, and they do have a Fubuki up there. He's spotted just north of our group there in C. And I'm not sure actually if our carrier was trying to attack the Fubuki, but it's always nice seeing that. Anytime you can get a destroyer off the enemy team, I'm happy. But we're pushing things to a head here. I mean, all this tonnage, all these ships, something's gonna happen. And I've got my AP loaded, and decide to get some bump and grind going on with Kami's North Carolina. And these carriers at the higher tier, they seem to be a little bit more resilient than I remember to AP and whatnot. I I remember citadeling them a hell of a lot more easily with cruisers before, but I don't know, maybe it's just the angles that I keep trying to attack them at, but have HE loaded there, just try to get him on fire and make sure that he can't launch planes. But there's an Otago, a Myoko, New Orleans, and the Essex, and my frame rate is just chugging right now. Just trying to get something figured out here, keep away from those torpedoes. I switch back to AP, and we still have that Colorado off to my side, which I actually forgot about watching this replay. I was like, well, screw it. And all of my shots go right into the mountain there, unfortunately. So that's no good. This is getting tense. Get a good salvo off, and damn, he gets wiped out. The carcass of the Essex saves the Myoko from earlier destruction, but there it goes right there. 3 citadels and the 4th to seal the deal, and got torps coming. I'd already started to cut my speed, but it wasn't enough in time, and take a nice little torp right there. It was dumb, but I was lucky it didn't detonate me, actually. But so now the southern group of theirs, the enemy team, is coming up. They're getting close to A, and you know, that was exactly what you want to see in terms of teamwork as far as a pincer movement. Like, way to go. Now we've got a good solid wall of ships from the north to the south down to sea, and we can hopefully focus upon the Montanas as they come into play. Or actually, they're already into play. It's us who can't seem to reach them very well. But I did want to mention also at this point, you know, in some months I will be moving, and I don't know exactly where yet. I don't know much of anything to do with my future by the end of the year in terms of my living arrangements. I am going to fast forward through this part here with the Atlanta, because I didn't hit him at all, I think. It was pretty embarrassing, but whatever. Long range against a cruiser, a decently agile one. Doesn't usually bode so well for that flight time there on the shells. I mean, look at that crap. It barely looks like they're even moving, but anyways. I will be shooting, or not shooting, I will be loading the videos up to YouTube at 60 FPS. The only reason I'm doing that right now is because my connection is god-awful. So having a 4, 8, 10, 12 gig file is just, that doesn't work for me so well. And it just take way too long to upload, and if there's any issues, then like there were a few videos ago, you know, that makes it a hell of a lot harder for me to correct that issue, because if it takes 9, 10, 12 hours to upload, I mean, that's just bad. And yes, my connection is that bad, and yes, it is the only one available to me. So when I get back to cable, because that will be a prerequisite for the next location I live, you know, I'll have the quality back up to where I want it. So it's just one of those things that I wanted to point out, because I did get a message about that, asking why, you know, with the GTX 970, I don't upload things in 60 FPS, and I promise you that's the only reason why, is just because of my connection speed. But anyways, back to the match here. Get this Otago. I actually get a really good damage salvo right there, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 7,500 with 10 HE hits. Way to go. If you notice the Montanas, and the whole theme of this video so far is, what the hell? Why not? Suicide runs. So there's 2 Montanas here, and there's, I think, a Nagato right back there that's about 10 kilometers away. Setting this up, I know I'm gonna die in just a moment. I was hoping that he would have fired right before I came out, and so I'm gonna launch the first set here, and I'm gonna wait for him to fire, and then launch the second set right there. So I guarantee to get as many torps off as I can, and at the best angle that I can. So waiting for that shot, you'll see, proves actually to be rather fruitful. Not for myself, but for my team. Because that's 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6 torpedoes. So that's 65,000 damage that was done that my team doesn't have to do now against a damn dangerous tier 10 battleship. So I thought I did my work there, and we did actually win that one. You'll see, I'll have the battle details here in a second, but either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to the changes, I guess, in patch 4.1, and I don't know, I mean, we'll see how it goes, but either way, I'm looking forward to the new maps, I'll say that much, but I will do a proper overview of this, and the Pensacola's up next, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you here next time. Take care.